This is the Soul Expansion Soundboard, an hour of honest conversations and straightforward advice on spiritual growth, limitless creation, and enlightened evolution, with two certified spiritual coaches and soulpreneurs who understand what it's like to navigate spiritual growth in an ever-changing world. You'll be part of illuminating discussions featuring spirituality, self-development, inner healing, manifesting, and expansive creation of the abundant life you truly deserve. Now, here are your hosts, Roz Kincaid and Julian Crosson-Hill.
Hello. I'm Julian Crosson-Hill, ICF certified spiritual life coach and human design specialist and founder of Priest of Inanna. And with me is my lovely co-host, Roz Kincaid.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Happy New Year. I am your host, Roz Kincaid. I am your intuitive soul empowerment coach, and I support Black women and all women of color to step in their empowerment so that y'all can have some peace in your life and some balance.
That sounds wonderful.
It is.
So we have an exciting topic to talk about today. We're talking about taking stock. And of course, it's 2023, it's a new year. And the natural thing in this month is to kind of look back at the past year, look back on the things that didn't go well, the things that we said and we wished we hadn't said, the interactions that we had with other people where maybe we've attached some assumptions to why other people were doing the things that they were doing that were pissing us off. So today we're just going to talk about taking stock and how do we really take stock in a way that maximizes the benefit to us and allows us to move forward with a lot more peace and joy and empower, because taking stock should be an empowering process, not one that beats us down. So
Yep.
Roz, what you got?
What you just said, taking stock should be an empowering process. And I was thinking about this on the drive to pick up my doggy from grooming, is that we get stuck a lot in what didn't go well, who shit on me last year, how I failed, who didn't support me and what I didn't get done and how fat I was or whatever the case may be. But I think that let's do it different this year, y'all. Let's do it different this year, and let's look at what went well. Like Julian and I both come from IT backgrounds where we huddle every 15 minutes every day, and we go through these ceremonies in the agile process, and we look at what went well, what can we do better going forward. And I think that's how we can take a better approach to taking stock, is doing that, is looking at what went well, what was good, what small win, big win, whatever size win did you experience, not just over the course of 2022, but just over the course of maybe the last 3 to 5 years. Like, you ain't got to go back, and not least right now, and relive childhood and, I had childhood, it was so good and so great. But let's bring this into the present as much as we can, and look at how well we're doing. Let's celebrate the fact that we are alive and well and doing well right now in this moment. We got breath in our body. We have a means to put food on our table, clothes on our ass, and we can watch reality TV. How about that? At least for me, that's a win. I have space in my day to watch reality TV. And so let's look on the bright side first before we go criticizing and tearing ourselves down and getting too constructive about things, because there is time and space for that. But I think we would be better served if we start ourselves on the good foot and start out on a positive note.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think for me though, what comes up in that is I think it's a great approach, and I definitely try to do that to look at what went well. What's working right in my life, right? But I think it's human nature that we, no matter how many times we say that, we're gonna look at the crap
Hmm.
and we're gonna like ruminate on it, which, rumination is kind of a term we use a lot in psychology, and we've all had this experience. Rumination is when we think in circles, we just keep going and going, and we're kind of in this pattern with our thinking. And we do that with these negative experiences. And I think one of the reasons that this happens, that I want to kind of bring up, is we think we know why things happened. And I'm saying I know in sort of quotes, because this is something that I've really worked with a lot in my studies in the Akashic Records, is this idea of knowing as a process and learning as a process. It's not like you learn something and then you know it, because we're also always unlearning things, right? Like we learned a lot of ways to be in our earlier life that maybe don't serve us now as we've grown, and we have to unlearn those ways of being, right? We have to unlearn looking at the crap and do what Roz said, looking at the good stuff. And so when we think we know why something happened, why someone treated us a certain way, why we made the mistakes that we made, why something didn't work out the way we expected, when we say I know, what we're really doing is shutting it down, right? Have you ever tried to offer some advice to someone, or had someone ask advice and you tell them and they go, I know, I know, I know, right? They're not listening, they're not hearing, and they're not really looking at that experience in an objective way. They're shutting it down because they believe they know. And so if we can approach it with beginner's mind, with the idea of I'm still learning, and knowing is a process, and release the idea that we know why something happened and be open to learning from the experience, we look at it with a fresh perspective and a different set of eyes, and we get something very different out of it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I can definitely feel where you're coming from with looking at it from a beginner's eye. And when you say beginner, I hear it as a student. Like you're, even though you are in your life and you are living your life, and you are incarnated here, you are still a student of life. You are still a student of how to become more reconciled with source and more reconciled with the being of your higher self. And so, and I say this a lot, we know in part, and we prophesy in part, we know in part, right? So we don't know everything. And so to be an open container to receive, because there's always like a different facet of of the thing that you are experiencing. And there's always something to be learned, but you ain't always got to be learning either. That's all I'm saying. But to approach it with, I know this one part of it, but there's still this part or this aspect of my life or of me that I don't yet know, and I'm learning. So what did you learn? What did you learn from time past? What did you learn, from the moment that you just had? What did you learn about you? What did you learn about how you're showing up? What did you learn new about the world? So I like that, you're encouraging people to step into it with, thinking, don't think you know everything, because you don't know everything. Like if do you think that if you did know everything, you would be here? You would still be triggered, you would still be bothered, you would still have things to kind of like tweak. I'm not saying there's always something wrong, but stuff comes up for a reason. And no, you do not know. I don't know. I don't claim to know everything. So, and I know out in the world of self-development and spirituality, we claim people to be experts, but even the experts don't know everything, y'all. And you have to be open, because God is always doing something new. It might not be new under the sun, but it might be new in your life. and you don't know which way he gonna come sometime. And you never know what the universe is going to um uh shoot back at you to get you to evolve, to open up, to refine, to optimize what is already in your life.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. When I say beginner, I'm thinking of like beginner's mind, which is sort of the Buddhist sort of mindset that we really approach things with. And it's sort of approaching the experience with the assumption that I don't know, right? Because when we can do that, when we can kind of let go of what we think we know, we can actually see more truly what the situation is. And I think this especially comes in when we're dealing with other people, because when we have a bad experience with another person, which happens a lot, and then we go back and we reflect on it and we take stock of that, oftentimes we make assumptions about the other person's behavior. We think we know why they're acting this way. We think we know why they took the thing that you said the wrong way or whatever. And we start to attach intention to the other person without really truly knowing the other person's intention. And so with beginner mind, we can kind of step back and go, I don't really know how they intended that. Now, obviously, the ideal situation is have a DM conversation with them. Be like, hey, this offended me because I thought that you intended it this way, but I was curious, what did you mean by whatever you said? Having those conversations can help us sometimes preserve relationships rather than going off and being butthurt because you've made a bunch of assumptions about the intentions of other people. And so with beginner's mind, we can kind of look at it with a more open mind of, I don't really know what's going on with this person. I don't know why they said that. I don't know if they misinterpreted what I said. So if I can, I'm going to go have a conversation and clarify it. And if I can't, then I'm going to focus more on my part of the interaction and see if there's something I can learn from that. And I'm not saying keep going back to toxic people and ask them, did you mean this? Because, there are those relationships that are toxic. We know they're toxic, and just get rid of them. Like, I'm just going to say that, just get rid of them. I struggled with years with trying to maintain some level of relationship with my father. And it's a toxic relationship for me. I know it's a toxic relationship for me. And I've struggled with years with trying to feeling some obligation that because he's my father, I need to maintain some type of contact. And of course, my mother, when she was, when she had cancer before she passed away, one of her things was, she said, I wish your father could know you like I do. And I wish you would I hope you'll give him a chance. And I kind of like felt obligated to her somewhat to keep giving him second chances. And then I finally reached a point where it's like, well, my mother didn't know what my father's intentions were or how it impacted me. And I don't know if she really meant like, keep letting him abuse you, like, by being shitty to you every opportunity he gets. So I don't really know what all of the intention behind that, but I do know that every time I have an interaction with him, it makes me feel bad about myself, and that he does things and brings up things intentionally to inflict that. And I can say intentionally because, you can ask people to clarify their intention, but there's also like, sometimes you see a pattern, and I'm not telling you with beginner's mind to ignore the shit that you definitely are seeing. Like, if you see a pattern of toxic behavior from someone, you don't need to ask them because you already know. But once I saw, I really took a minute to recognize that pattern and to say, this is toxic to me and I need to let go of it. But so I'm not talking about those toxic relationships. You don't need to approach those with beginner's mind. You already know, let them go and move on. But I'm talking about the little interactions that we have. You didn't get a lot of sleep, your friend had something happen, you had a bad interaction, and now you're sitting there ruminating about it, and I should have told her blah blah blah, and why was she so cranky to me, why did she do that, she knows I was going through this. And you're again assuming that she knows, because did you actually tell her? And so in those cases, if you can, have a conversation and get clear on what really happened and what you can really know and learn from it. And if you can't, reflect on your portion of it. What could I have done differently? What did I do? Did I show up as my best self? Because, sometimes we don't show up as our best selves. And, I'll admit there's days I don't. If I haven't had my coffee or I stayed up too late, I'm kind of a grouch. I'll be honest.
Kind of me, I mean, not kind of for me. I am. Don't wake me up. I got it. Don't wake me up. If you wake me up before I want to wake up, then you gonna get you might get snapped on. I'm gonna tell you right now. Let me sleep, okay? I'll wake myself up. But the point that I hear you making, Julian, and then we can jump to something else, because there's something else that's coming through, is that get clarity, y'all. Just don't
Yeah.
make an assumption and jump to conclusions. My daddy used to say that. I'll tell you jump into conclusions. Don't jump to conclusions, but get the clarity. Ask the question, and I'm gonna say this one thing, and I might come back to it, but we have been conditioned to not be curious. Like, it's bad to be curious. Like, no, it's not. It's not bad to be curious. How do you think you learn? How do you think you come to a knowing? You ask questions, you get clarity. And so there's that's if you ask me, I believe that that's the first step in taking stock, is you ask questions. If you want to take stock in your relationship, start asking questions. Like, my husband and I, we do it every birthday and every anniversary. How we doing? How you think things? Because I don't know. I can't read. Well, I can't read that man's mind, but I can. But I can't read that man's mind, And so you have to ask questions and get clarity, and not go off of assumptions. And you know what? I see a lot of is when you do that, and because people are not used to the curiosity anymore, is that people get offended when you ask questions like, "What are you asking me that for?" And then the assumptions again start to circle, like, you think I'm this, you think I'm that, is why you asking me that? What's making you so offensive, so putting you on the defense about me asking that question? Like, you some of y'all need to ask yourself that. Like, why am I getting all bothered from a question? She's just asking a question, or he's just asking a question. Well, give them the clarity. Clarity is where it starts, and that's the whole point of taking stock, y'all, is for you to get clarity. You can't just be going off and running off and hopping on this diet or doing this cleanse. It's almost like, do your research. That's really what it is. Like, do your research. Ask all the questions. Dig deep. Pull the tape back. See what's underneath and ask the questions. And so I think that there's this fear of self-reflection that people kind of get caught into about their life, that avoids them from taking stock, that avoids them from having conversations with people, that avoids them from being curious, because we're afraid to look back on our life or look back on our situation or our relationships, and we're scared we're not going to be able to emotionally overcome, or we'll have some kind of difficulty or discomfort in seeing the reality of the situation. It's almost like you don't want to ask the question because you think you know the answer, or you think how they're going to respond, or don't ask the question if you don't want an honest answer. And so we have to get around this fear of not wanting to confront situations, not wanting to do self-reflection, because we're afraid to look in the mirror at what's going to reflect back to us. And so what? I say to that, and so what? So what if you look in the mirror and you see a devil? Not literally, but you see something that you don't like, or you see a version of you that's scary to you. Okay, what if? Now what? Because y'all, what I'm hoping that people take away from this is that when you do look in the mirror, that's an opportunity for you to step in and start to take some level of self responsibility and do something about it, and change things, change what you see in the mirror. The only way that you're going to change what you see in the mirror is by stepping back and going and doing the work. Yes, we know that, but first you got to get yourself in front of the mirror and start asking these questions. Put your relationships under a microscope. See it for what it is, not just for what you see on the surface. If you feel relationships starting to kind of like distance themselves, that's an opportunity to say, okay, what's going on? How am I showing up? Do I even want to be in this situation? Do I even want to be in this relationship? And do I want to do this? Like, and I think that people have a hard time, or they're scared of the truth, is what it is. We're scared of the truth. We're scared to be honest because it's gonna disrupt status quo. It's gonna disrupt our comfort zone. But little do you know, not doing all of that, not having honest conversations with yourself and with other people, with God, with higher self, not fully being honest, that keeps you inert. Y'all know what I mean by that? That keeps you pretty much not moving, not growing, not doing anything. You just sitting there like a rock for real.
Yeah, I love that you said that. What the part that really jumped out at me was the being afraid of the truth, of facing the truth. And I think that that is a common thing, that we don't want to be honest with ourselves about how we're showing up and how we're being. And I think we're sort of conditioned not to be in a lot of ways. If you look at social media, you see people being happy, enjoying their lives, living their fullest, and you never see them struggling. You never see them doubting themselves. You never see them suffering from imposter syndrome. And so then, like, when my spiritual entrepreneur clients come to me, they're upset that they're feeling fearful about putting themselves out there, or that they have imposter syndrome, and they're like, I didn't think I would experience this when I started my business. And I'm like, yeah, because other people who are starting their businesses aren't being honest about what they're going through. And you're not seeing the side of like the chaos and this doubt and everything that's happening behind the scenes. You're just seeing this successful boss babe on Instagram. And so you're only seeing part of the picture as well. And so then we think we have to measure up to that. And when we look at what's happening in our lives, we're not honest with ourselves about it, and we're not honest with other people. And then we wonder why other people don't understand what we're going through, or don't show us more grace in our interactions with them. And it's because we're hiding the truth from ourselves and from other people in a lot of ways. And Roz and I talked about this when we talked about money and manifestation, about shame around money, and how it's really hard for couples to talk about money because we don't get honest with ourselves about our money and our spending and our debt and our impulse buying and all the little things that kind of add up to create problems for us in our money and our manifestation. So this idea of not being truthful out to ourselves and to other people, and not facing the truth when we see it, is really important. What are the spiritual practices that I do every day? I do it in the Akashic records, but you don't have to be an Akashic record reader to do this. You can just journal on it. Ask yourself, what is my truth today? What is my truth today? If you're in a situation and it's not a situation you want to be in, or you're showing up in a way that you don't want to show up, ask yourself, what is my truth about this situation? What is my truth about my business? What is my truth? This question works in any situation, but get clear on what is the truth. And when you put the emphasis on the truth, you can actually really see the whole picture, rather than sort of seeing this idealized glossy color magazine print version of it.
Yeah. Um, Going back to what you had mentioned about people not really showing their hand or showing them their real selves on social media, and I'm kind of one of those people. I'm one of those people where I pick and choose what I show people on my
Mhm.
social media platforms. One, I'm a Virgo rising, and so you're gonna see what I want you to see. Number one. No, you gonna see what I want you to see, but underneath that, and it kind of like shook up a little bit emotion in me as you were talking, that there's a fearfulness that people gonna think that I don't have it together. People are gonna
Yeah.
think that I'm failing. People are, but what if people see that you are a real human out here having real struggles, real successes, and trying to make it just like anybody else? Now, I'm still going to show you what I want you to see. But at the same time, it's like what is the harm in showing yourself? And I hear Elsa singing, "Show yourself." Like, show yourself. And I get that people don't want to, be subjected to some of the nasty criticism that people shoot at you on social
Yeah.
media, but in that, you got to stand in your spiritual power. I just had a conversation with a local psychic medium. I didn't even know she was local, and she is so powerful. And she said that she stands in her spiritual power, and she lets people own how they feel, knowing that it doesn't have anything to do with her. And so that doesn't block her from showing her real self and being vulnerable on the platforms that she has control over the community that she's created. Like, that's really how you create tribe and community and connectivity amongst each other, is being real and being vulnerable and being authentic. Now, I still don't all the way agree. Like, I don't need to see you crying all the time, but I can see the value in people seeing part of your life, or you sharing part of your life and showing that you're a real human, and you not, you know, working in your business or working your job 24/7. Like, I get that people want to see that I'm a mom, and I struggle with a very rebellious, energetic Aquarius child who reflects back to me all the wounds that I have open in me, and I have to go sit in a corner and cry. As strong as y'all think I look, yes, I go sit in the corner and cry, but there's no harm really, because the people that want to support you are going to see that and hold space for you and help move that emotion and energy through you and out, right? Like, being vulnerable and being honest and not being afraid of the truth helps to call in support for you to help you move through that. So you don't have to be afraid of people picking at you, people pointing fingers at you, somebody talking shit about you, saying that you're weak, calling you all of these names and all of this stuff. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, because look at how holding all of that in and gatekeeping all of that and covering that up. Look how that has served you up to this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally relate with you saying how, people see what you want them to see. Like, I've got a Union Jack back there. I grew up in Great Britain. My father was really reserved. So, I'm definitely a stiff upper lip and get on with it kind of person. But I think vulnerability is important. But there's also, I think on social media, we've been seeing a lot of what I call staged vulnerability or fake
Mm,
authenticity, right? People get on there and cry and do a lot of theatrics to be vulnerable, but it's very staged and very purposeful. It's a marketing ploy, really, is what it is.
right.
And, not too long ago, we saw someone on LinkedIn, a CEO, posted a video of him crying about laying people off, and people skewered him for it. It was like, well, that's your mistake if you hired more people than you could afford. It was like there was sort of limits of where this becomes fake authenticity. And, my ideal solution is get off social media. But I know that some of us feel like we need to be there for our businesses. And I actually just had a conversation with someone about how you don't need social media to market your business. There's lots of ways you can market your business. I happen to use social media, but my favorite way to market my business is I like to write and blog. As a manifesting generator, I get to respond to things in that format. So I read an article and I think it's complete hogwash. I'll write a blog post and I'll link the article and I'll be like, here's the 20 reasons that person's wrong. So, and I can kind of respond to things in that way. But fake authenticity, we need to get away from. I think also Roz made a really good point about safe places and safe spaces to be vulnerable. I do a lot of work with gay and bisexual men through my queer spirituality website. And we talk a lot about safe spaces, about having safe spaces to be who you really are authentically. And so ideally, I don't like to use the word tribe because I feel like it's appropriating indigenous people, especially as a white person. So I like to talk about kin. And kin usually refers to like your blood relatives and your extended like relations, right? And so kin to me is this really powerful concept because so many people, not just LGBTQ people, have family relationships that are toxic. And so they often adopt chosen families. They find friends and people who are like their siblings, like their family, that become family to them. And so this idea of kin to me really speaks to that. And so if you don't have that, if you haven't found your community, if you haven't found your people, if you're not part of, if you haven't found your sacred kin, go find that, because those are the people where you should be safe to be vulnerable, to really take stock of the past and admit all the times that you messed up, to admit that, hey, I have a gambling problem. I'm spending my whole paycheck on lottery tickets. To admit all the things. Admit, hey, I'm doing my best, but I'm afraid I'm a bad parent. All of these things that we hold in, and we, sort of our secret shame that we like hold on to. And we're always so afraid that someone's going to find us out, which is why when people say things that may be completely innocent, we fly off the handle and escalate a situation because we think they somehow saw our secret shame and were calling us out. And our tribe, our kin, whatever your word is, for me, it's kin, find that group where those people know what you're going through, where you feel safe to be honest about who you are and what you're experiencing. And so that when you have interactions with those people, there's not this element of like, have they seen my secret? Are they calling me out? And you can just have those honest conversations about what's happened in your life, where you've made mistakes, and what your hopes for the future are of who you want to be and how you want to show up.
So here's my thought around that, is that because life is so social media focused, I including other people, have found it hard to find support groups or a community or a tribe
Mhm.
outside of social media, or outside of like AA,
Yeah.
addiction groups like that, SA, whatever, Al-Anon, stuff like that. And so that's one of the things that kind of propelled me to like really focus in on I don't want to call my target audience, but my tribe, Black women and other women of color. Because when you do go out to, and I'm sure, well, I don't know, because I'm not in the LGBT community, so I don't want to make an assumption that I know what it's like for y'all out there. But I can only speak from my position, my perspective as a Black woman and a woman of color, that when I do go out to social media, I don't see a lot of us out there in this industry, or in this way, talking about these type of things. Like I really had to like search, and like now they're starting to pop up, because when you got the algorithm like watching you and tracking you. But what happens when social media goes down again and we don't have social media again? Where do we as people of color and women of color go to look and create and find that sense of community, right? And so what the answer that appeared to me is like, girl, create
Yeah.
your own community. Start within your family. Start with who your people, who your kinfolk know. Start making friends and stop closing yourself off so that you can be open to receive people and read energy and discern who has things in common with you that can be a part of this community that you want to create. Like I get social media is a lot, man, and it's like always in your face and it's addictive, really. And I would encourage people to take a consumption break at some point from social media. Y'all doing this dry January shit, but you need to include social media in that, and go
Yeah.
create your tribe and go find your tribe, because we have lost the art of connecting. We
Yes.
have really
Amen.
lost the art of connecting. And take stock of that.
Yeah.
Take stock and take personal responsibility for that. In that, how am I contributing to a system that is disconnecting us and not bringing us together? Like I know that we are out there. I know that there are communities and kinfolk and tribes out there that support LGBTQ uh, people and support Black people and women of color. They're out there, but they all of them are not on social media. And you really do got to go do your legwork and start opening up your mouth and asking people and stop playing this shy guy shit and start connecting with people. Start connecting with people. Go. And for me, it starts with um. I do it through my child. She's involved in gymnastics, and I have other children in my family who are involved in sports. And to just lean over to a mom or a dad that you have never met before while you're watching your child practice. Say, is what class is your daughter in? And that opens up a whole conversation, and you build a connection with people. Like we really got to get back to like the old fashioned way of connecting with people and just saying, hey,
Yes.
how you entering the room. Like, that's respect. Where I come from North Carolina, from the deep woods of North Carolina, when you walk into a room, you say hey to people. When you sit down next to somebody, you say hey to people. People don't even fucking say excuse me anymore. Like, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yes to all of what you said. I think if you're saying I can't find my people, put the damn phone down, go out and like wander. Like can't happen online solely, because it's just not the same experience. You need to go talk to physical, real people. So I'm a pagan and I've been a practicing witch for 32 years. Back in the old days, um, there weren't as many of us out there. And the way we found each other is through like meetups. We had like, coffee. We all would meet in a coffee shop and like talk about what we had in common. So go out to meetup, start a meetup, say, hey, I'm interested in meeting people who are interested in XYZ in my community. Start a meetup, host a meetup, put yourself in that leadership position of saying, I'm going to find my people and I'm going to help other people find their people. Because when you do that, first of all, you'll be amazed at how fulfilling it will feel to you when people start thanking you for creating this and they start showing up and you start creating that group that you've been looking for. The social media thing, I could talk about that for a long time. I started a Mastodon not too long ago. I got on Mastodon, which is a open source social media that has no algorithms. And what I find is, regardless of my best intentions, I'm almost never on it. I peek on it once in a while, post a few things, but for the most part, it doesn't consume my attention the way other social media did. And so I just think social media, while it can be a powerful tool, I think that centralized corporate based social media that is designed to manipulate our attention and consume our time has really driven a wedge between us and other people. I mean, I can't tell you how many people complain to me about their relationship, but they're looking at their phone more than they're looking at their partner. And so put the phones down, take a break from them. set some timers, whatever you need to do to break that bond of social media, because it is addiction. Social media is designed to trigger our dopamine reward centers in the brain, and these are the same centers that things like drug addiction trigger. So we need to get away from that, and we need to start finding ways to connect. As a business owner, I've struggled in my business in the past with social media and trying to get people to interact and engage with me and do more than just drive by, like my stuff, right? And I got the most traction in my business when I got off social media and started teaching in-person classes, when I started going out in my local community and talking to people, when I started networking with other spiritual entrepreneurs in my area. That's when my business started to get traction, not when I was hitting social media constantly, when I was, trying to be on there every day and, gaming the algorithm. And what I was a slave to the algorithm and a slave to corporate interests. And as soon as I decided to take control of that back and go out and take my magic to the world, right, rather than waiting for people to come to me, it changed things. And it's the same way with building your kin and your group and your community, is stop waiting for them to find you and go find them. But don't do it on social media. Go do it in person, where you can connect and be live to live, be in real-time space with another person. Because there's social media, your friends on social media can't give you a hug when the shit really hits the fan, but your real life people can. And so go find those people, because it's going to be so much more rewarding.
That part. That part. You are probably the second person that has mentioned to me about Meetup. And I used to do Meetup a long time ago, but I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I feel, well, maybe they were for the right reasons at that time, but then it became like, I don't know, it just died. And you make a good point about, like, let's reconnect. Like, go find your people can't give you a hug through Zoom. I tried it. It don't really feel the same, but you can't hug a computer. But what you can do is you can go connect with somebody in the grocery store. Like, first of all, let's tie this back into taking stock. Who is in your circle? Who is in your community? Who is in your who is your kin? Who is in your tribe? And if the people or the quality people aren't there that you would like to be there, now what? Now go seek them out. Like, start, and I'm not saying to go out here and make a complete 180 if you're an introvert. Go out and just talk to everybody with a bullhorn. Everybody you see in Walmart, that might not be smart, because Walmart. but but it's okay to be friendly to somebody in the grocery store that is, shopping too. Like, I make and I don't mean to do this, but I make the mistake all the time by saying, I'm sorry, do you work here? Oh, no, I don't work here. Well, do you know where such and such, what aisle such and such? Because they done changed this grocery store around again, and I don't know where to find the peas. Oh, girl, like, just open up. Like, we have to stop being so closed off and take inventory of how open you're being and how closed off you're being, and start taking some responsibility for that, and just, get out there. And that and I'm going to hear this back, I know, because I often do, and Spirit has a way of reminding me of what I said and holding my feet to the fire. I'm going to hear this again, and I'm going to be challenged to start going out and spending most of my day. Well, not most of my day, because people gonna drain me. I just ain't got that much energy to give. I have to reserve it, a little bit of it, but start spending some time going out and meeting with people and talking with people, and just connecting. We've lost the essence and the beauty of connection, and we think that we're gonna be able to do it through a computer or a robot that's pairing us with people randomly or not randomly. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, take the control back over your life about who is in your life, and stop letting the robot do it for you, or stop letting Social media platforms do it for you. Yes, Meetup is a great place to start, but I would caution you to and say, like, don't go to a meetup, or don't jump on a meetup first where people are meeting virtually.
Yeah.
Like, go to Starbucks, go to the library, go to the gym. Like every fucking body is in the gym right now. You can go meet somebody, right? And start talking to people, share with people. Share with them what you are, willing to share. If your children, if you have children and they're in sports, talk to some of them parents. There you go, right there. That's a community built for you right there.
Yeah.
And y'all sit up
Yeah.
here and complain about, well, I can't meet nobody and I don't have no friends and everybody I talk to just, they seem to just drift away. Well, that might be you, because everybody can't be wrong. So there's something that you giving off, Pepe Le Pew, that's pushing people away, and you need to take stock and find out what that is. Like, really take a hard look at, why don't I have closeness around me? Why do I feel disconnected to people? What is going on here? What could I possibly be doing or not doing that's causing me to feel so lonely?
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you couple of things that you said really stood out to me. First of all, if you're trying to create your tribe or your kin or your group or whatever you call it, and you're not willing to put into the work to maintain those relationships, because it's a two-way street. Just because you meet someone, don't expect them to always be the one to call you or to text you. Because I have those friends, who never make any time or effort for you, but then they'll text you, be like, I miss you. And it's like, well, I've been here. I've been
Yeah,
here. I didn't
I'm here.
move. I've been right here. So you have to realize that the relationships do take effort. They do take work. And if you're not willing to put in that effort to do that work, then of course you're going to push people away. They're going to sort of wander away. Getting back to the idea of taking stock, as Roz was saying about taking stock of who's in your circle, also take stock of how approachable you are, right? Because, okay, you're an introvert, or you're saying, I'm open to growing my group and finding my people. And then people talk to you like randomly in public and you like brush them off, or you're totally unapproachable. Like, that's not going to work. That's not going to get you what you want. So really take stock of, am I an approachable person? Do I like people? And if the answer is no, then maybe examine that a little bit. What is it about you that you don't like people? And yes, people can be difficult, they can be messy, they can be inconvenient, all of those things. But ultimately, I believe that our spiritual work is to be, is to love humanity, to be part of our collective, and to love each other. We're all made of the same stuff. We're all connected. We're all one. We're all part of all that is. And our job should be to embrace that and to have compassion and love for each other. And yeah, there are some people that are going to challenge that, and there are people that, maybe you say, well, I love them, but I can't have them in my life. And that's okay. But if you don't like people and you're not approachable, and if someone says hi to you or starts up a conversation in the grocery store, and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell's their problem? That weirdo talking to me, like, that's something you got to shift. Or yeah, you're going to be lonely, because you've got to start somewhere with making those connections. And the universe works in weird ways. You could be going to meetups all the time and not meeting the right people, and that person standing behind you in the grocery line could say hello, and that could be the beginning of a lifelong friendship. You never know where it's going to come. And so if you're not being approachable, if you're not being open to that, then that's a problem. And so really take stock of, how open and approachable am I?
Mhm. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yes.
Really, really, is what you're saying. Check
Yes.
yourself. Don't be checking for other
Yeah.
people. Check you. What about you? It's you. You need to see about you first.
Yeah.
Anyway, y'all. Before we wrap, I want to give you some 4 tips on how you can start. We talked about a lot of stuff, but how you can start taking stock of your life. One, start off on the good foot. Start making a list of your successes and your achievements. Start with the small ones. Celebrate the big ones. Celebrate all of them. I don't care how big they are, but like, start start to make a list that you can get in front of you and see like how well you've done and how far you've come. Second, start to identify those areas where you want to improve, not where you want to go fix somebody, but where you want to improve any area of your life, and start to focus on those and start to make some intentions and some goals around those. Third, reach out for some help. Like nobody can be doing this stuff alone. We just sat here and had this whole conversation about connectivity and connecting to people and creating community and tribe and connecting to your kin people. Reach out for help. Like a closed mouth don't get fed. Okay. And number four, you're going to have to take a pause for the cause and take some time to reflect. Allow yourself to reflect on what you've done and what you want to do and how you can help yourself get there and stay focused and motivated. Like take stock on what life means to you right now and not what somebody has told you or conditioned you to believe what life is supposed to be. Right?
Yeah.
Anything to add to that, Julian?
I'd add, be curious. Like, approach the whole process with beginner's mind. Don't assume that you know the answer to everything. Be curious and be open to asking, like, what could I have done different here? How could this have turned out differently? You know, what can I learn from this? And so that curiosity is going to take you a long way.
Absolutely. Curiosity. I don't care what they say, y'all. Curiosity did not kill the cat. That's a lie. That's a fable. Okay, that's a lie. Be curious. Always be curious about everything. So, if you would, if what we are talking about or what I've said specifically resonates with you, and you are a woman of color, you're a Black woman, you're a South Asian woman, you are an Indigenous woman, and you are feeling drawn to me, I would encourage you to book a clarity and alignment call to get clear on your next steps. I do have a program to support you in being empowered and in, like I said in the beginning, in stepping into your power and taking your power back so that you can create balance and peace and joy and all those good things that you want in your life. And the first thing that we do in that program is take stock, because we need to know what's happening and what's going on, because without knowing what is happening, what's going on in your life, we cannot create a plan to move forward and move through and work through those things. So again, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, you can do that through my you can connect with me through my website and book a clarity call at www.rozkincaid. Also, this is a great time of the year to get an intuitive reading, to understand what is circling in your energy and to understand what is the repeatable habits and patterns going on in your life, and understand what energies you are connected to and what God and the universe and your spirit team has to say about your path forward and your life forward. So I am offering intuitive readings specifically for that. So again, all of that can be found on my website at www.rozkincaid.com.
Great. Wonderful. So if the things that I said resonated with you, there's a couple ways you can work with me. And I want to kind of highlight a couple that I think are really relevant to the discussion we just had. So first of all, I work with spiritual entrepreneurs who want to break through their limitations and maximize their impact to change the world. So you can learn all about my spiritual business coaching at www.priestofenana.com. I do offer a clarity call where we'll look at your business, we'll look at the areas that just aren't quite working for you, where you want to get, and then we'll come up with an action plan together to move you forward, which may even include one-on-one coaching. That's, completely up to you. I also am a human design specialist. And so if you're trying to find your right people, or you're trying to find, as you're reflecting, like the unique way that you want to do things and you want to show up in the world, a human design reading with me is a great opportunity to really get clear on the energetic design of your form and how you can build a life that supports your natural energy and your natural energy flows. And finally, I want to mention, because we talked a lot about tribe and community and finding your people. And so I also do spiritual coaching one-on-one and in groups with gay and bisexual men. You can find all of that at www.queerspirituality.net. Super easy to remember. And in particular, I want to highlight my Sacred Kinship program and process. I do these over weekend retreats and also over an online longer program. So there's different ways that you can do this. And Sacred Kinship is all about really getting in and finding your people in the LGBTQ community, releasing a lot of the expectation, blame, fears, and judgments that creates division in the community and leads to so many gay and bi men feeling lonely or like they don't have close, trusted friends. So go check that out at www.queerspirituality.net.
Awesome. Thanks, Julian, for that. So, guys, that's all we have, or y'all, that's all we have for you today. Very, very, very powerful conversation. Be sure to check us out both on social media, on Facebook. You can see our check our Facebook pages and our YouTube pages for replays of this conversation. You can also go, Julian also is offering replays on his LinkedIn page. So if you need to go back and kind of take some notes and want to break down and chew through some of this, what we've talked about, we encourage you to go check out the replay and subscribe while you're there. Just don't be going to the page and just be looking, join, connect. Okay. Next time we are on is going to be January 27th, and we are going to be talking about frustration and how that is your spiritual check engine light, because it has a message for you and it is trying to direct you and tell you something. And so it's time to learn how to decipher and understand what frustration's message is in your life. So again, we'll be back January 27th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. All right, y'all. So anything you want to say to close, Julian, or deuces?
I just want to say happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I hope that your work gives you the day off so that you can celebrate, because it is an important time to celebrate and recognize.
Absolutely. And it's an important time to reflect back too on Dr. King's mission and his message, and how you can pull that into your life and start to use what we talked about today about taking stock about where you are not liberated, where you are still oppressed. Look at that. Yeah. Take stock of that. All right, y'all. We'll see you next time, January 27th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been the Soul Expansion Soundboard. Join us live every other Friday.